What am I to do when the day is through?
Hi, Jackie Russo with RazorBranding Podcast. Today we are going to talk about the pandemic pivot from the approach of an academic institution and how they handled it. I welcome to the show Mike Boyer, who is the head of Teurlings Catholic High School, and they had to go and take what is normally almost 1,000 people in classrooms every day and go online overnight. How'd that work out for you?
Oh, I'm doing great today, and
Good.
really appreciate the opportunity to be on screen with you.
Well, I appreciate you doing this for us and getting a chance to tell the story, because I know a lot of schools across the country and across the world faced the same challenges you did at Teurlings, which was all of a sudden you take all these kids who are in classrooms and send them home and still teach them. So where did you even start with figuring out how to do that?
We started with our teachers several weeks before March the 13th, and just in anticipation of what we felt in our area, at least. And so they were tuned in. Our teachers were. We had told them to prepare some plans, to go virtual at some point in time, and we had. Conversations and communication with some of our families through that period. So, March 13th came. The school was hosting its Rebel Open for tennis at Oakbourne Country Club. I was there, and we just kept looking at the news.
Right. So you're watching the news. You knew that the shutdown was about to happen. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, March 15th, here we are with everyone reporting to class from their house. It looks like we've had a little bit of a technical issue with Mr. Boyer's connection. So I know they're working to bring him back online. Having two students at Teurlings myself, I know the efforts that they went through to get students up and running. As Mr. Boyer was just explaining, they got a head start by planning ahead. And so I think that's probably a great testament to their preparation. Mr. Boyer, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you were saying that you were planning ahead, anticipating it, right?
Yes, and so we were prepared to go into that month. On March 13th, I left the tennis courts and came back to school. The governor had issued his proclamation. We were able to make an announcement with our students. Not the greatest of closure. A lot of anticipation and unknown. Told them to, pack everything they had in their lockers. We didn't know the next time we would meet. And then I had a faculty meeting with all of my teachers, explaining to them on what day that we would actually start our distance learning. And once again, they needed to take anything they needed to finish the school year, and I don't think anybody had the concept that that would be the last time that we would all be on campus together.
Right. I know that it was obviously a big challenge just to transition the learning part. So having those few weeks to get prepared ahead and kind of see the writing on the wall, I'm sure it was still very challenging the first couple of weeks. How did y'all balance that with technology and communication and just making people feel okay about what they were going through?
Well, it's like I said, we were ready. We probably started a little heavy-handed with the lessons for them to come to the concept of what a child could handle in that scenario. Because, on our end, we don't know what people go home to. We don't know. Well, we know they have siblings. We don't know what kind of devices they have. We don't know that our student is the oldest and they've got babysitting duties. That we just can't tie them down to that. We had to send some of our devices home for our students that needed it. We sent home some of our hotspots, our mobile hotspots for those that lacked internet connection.
Right. So sending them home with that technology, I'm sure helped those kids be able to stay connected to school as classes then went online. You know, it's interesting. I know a number of school districts throughout the country had to just stop educating altogether because they couldn't make sure that the students had the technology necessary, whether it was device or connection. I read an article about one school district that used buses to bring hotspots into neighborhoods. Oh, Mr. Boyer's back.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Okay, I think you're back. So you were saying that you sent some students home with
I'm
hotspots to provide the internet connections if they didn't have high-speed internet at their houses?
right. So we just made sure all of our students had what they needed. We had done a survey before the 13th of March. We knew exactly what people had at their house and where we could assist the student and the family to do that. I think it was Wednesday, the Wednesday following the 13th of March, that we started our lessons. As I said, we probably were a little heavy at first, and we lightened up because, I mean, the bottom line, it is not the same as you're going to get in the classroom. Right. I mean, it is not. You cannot duplicate that. But, it was our job, process. It was our teachers and administrators' job.
So those teachers and administrators had to really step in and figure out how to still bring that classroom experience into the house through technology. I know for my two students who are now junior and senior, but at the time sophomore and junior, for them it was learning a number of different apps. So you were talking about them bringing, the administrator's job was to handle all that technology, right? Mr. Boyer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm back.
You are.
I don't know what's happening on my end.
Technology.
Yes, technology at its finest. So we continue with the lessons. I mean, we determined what was the most important aspects of each course that they needed to take away for the year. Some of the other things are lagniappe that go with that, may intensify the learning process. But it was our responsibility to.
Right. So I would love to say that this is a demonstration of how challenging it is for technology to happen during the classroom setting, but I assure you this is not planned. This is strictly a challenge for technology in a live interview. Oh, Mr. Boyer's back.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, it is a challenge. And I thought our teachers did it beautifully. I live with a teacher who's taught mathematics for 25 years, and she was doing 3 and 4 hours of work a day in just preparing what she was going to do virtually. Right. To where if she was in her classroom, she doesn't even have lesson plans. She knows what she needs to teach. She gets on the board. She gets on the smart board, the Promethean, and she does that. So, our teachers did a lot. All teachers did a lot. That we're distance learning in our diocese, but I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to brag about Teurlings Catholic. I think our teachers did a wonderful job right. in that process. And then at the same time, you can't duplicate school, but you can duplicate parts of it that mean something to our community.
He's right. You can't just duplicate the school process. But the parts of it that I think Teurlings was able to duplicate was bringing in the academic curriculum, making sure the core lessons were still being learned. Oh, look, Mr. Boyer's back. Yes, yeah, you were saying that there's some things that can't be duplicated.
Yes. So, we're not a private school. We're a Catholic school, and that's the most important part of what we do. And so we had morning prayer that we posted on our Facebook page, and we had the students that normally would have done that at school would do the prayer. Our campus ministers, I think we had 22 of them, did a personal reflection, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, and they were astounding to what they said, and what they could put their thoughts into words. They were doing it without a written speech in front of them. It was from the heart. We had our music ministers do solos, do duos. We had 6 of them at different places at their house, and they all performed some music. And it was great. I mean, that's what our students see weekly. I mean, they sing at Mass. We say our prayer every day, and we wanted to, touch each of our students and our families in such a way that we felt like it was important that we were doing the classroom work, but we were continuing with the spiritual education.
Right. Jill Moe's watching, and she says, "Thank you, Mr. Boyer." And then during some of our technological challenges, she posted, "Clever way to show the challenges we have all been navigating." And she's right. I think as you talk about how the music ministry and the campus ministers were able to stay connected with each other and with the student body, I think it truly shows how the Catholicism that drives the education at Teurlings was able to permeate everything that still happened in the students' day-to-day life. And I think that's so important.
Well, and that's what, I've been in Catholic education for 44 years. And, it is the job, you will get a job on what you learn in the classroom, but you will keep your job because of the character that you have. And we feel like that's through our Catholicity and the leadership opportunities that we have for our students that will ensure that they are successful as adults.
Sure. And I know an important part after Catholicism and education, another big piece of the Teurlings experience is athletics. And so you had a number of athletic programs that had to immediately stop. How has that adjustment been for those spring teams and then the fall teams who are trying to get back into it as well? What do we do there for those players?
Well, when it happened on March 13th, I mean, there was such an unknown. I mean, we were, out of school for a little while. I mean, the senior class, when they were freshmen, we had the flood, and we missed some school.
Right.
On the tail end of it, we have the COVID, and I don't think anybody saw that we wouldn't return on campus. So there was some anticipation. We just shut down practices. And then within a week or so, it became very clear that those sports were canceled. And for those seniors in spring sports, it's devastating. I mean, devastating. I mean, I can remember being an athlete, and if my senior year would have been when shut down, it'd have been tough to handle. So, we feel for them. That they didn't get a chance to finish, and some of them, I mean, that was they were seniors there. They were in the leadership role, and it was time for them to take charge and lead a team. Yesterday was the first time that our kids have been allowed back on campus, period, and for athletics and workout. So there's some protocol that we have to follow to allow that to happen. But we had our football, our cross country, cheerleaders and dancers are working out this week. Volleyball is going to start this week. Basketball's got some time scheduled. And then those, the kids in the baseball and the softball, they're off on their summer teams playing. So, very, very cautiously, I think that the athletic activities were able to begin. I think they made the right call in all of that to make sure that it was safe. And like I said, then there's protocol that we have to do today. I mean, the athletes have to work in groups, and those groups cannot change because.
I would imagine those groups stay together because it's almost like the quarantine bubbles that our families had the past few months. So if you have them together working out, then you can kind of keep it contained amongst that smaller group. I would imagine it's easier to keep them, from sharing germs and cross-contaminating each other.
Well, that's that. I'm back. I might be the worst guest ever.
No, it's delightful.
Yeah, it is. So if someone is carrying, that they would possibly only pass it on to a small group rather than to the group at large. And it is positive through this process. That group that they work out with will have to be quarantined for 14 days. They can't come back to school. So. Rather than have 100 football players have to go, it's going to be 24
right.
football players if somebody gets positive. The numbers have been going down. I mean, we're into a new phase, and I saw the statistics today posted at noon, and we're spiking. The highest has been in the last few weeks. So, I hope it wasn't too soon. I think people are a little more comfortable. I see more people now wearing masks. The kids don't wear masks, but our coaches have to wear masks, and they have to sanitize between the person that's using the apparatus. We have to sanitize between sessions. We have a group that comes in at 7, another group that comes in at 8:30, and before it's all said and done, we'll have people training on our campus the entire day, and it's been a long time coming for those kids, but it's certainly been tough on our maintenance department to have sanitized everything, and they've done an awesome job. We've got the supplies that we need. Our coaches are being very diligent. The athletes have to take their temperatures every day before they come. We were going to do that here at school. But we decided that it would probably be more appropriate if mom or dad was helping in that aspect, that they would take the temperature at school. So we made a link to a little app, and they sending that to us from their phone, and our coaches are getting that before the child even leaves their houses. And I think that's just a good way to bridge some communication, family, and coach and team, that the parents are in control whether their child is actually going to come work out or not.
Right. No, and that's wise. I think catch them even before they get on the road and have a chance to interact with anyone else. You mentioned the seniors. What are y'all thinking about for being able to have them get some sense of completion to this year and this journey? Is there going to be a ceremony? Is it a drive by and pick up your diploma from the car?
Right. It's been tough on our seniors. They miss some things that are very traditional in schools. We March 13th, the next Wednesday was going to be our academic pep rally, which is a big deal for us at Teurlings Catholic. We were honoring over 300 of our students that had the academic qualifications to be part of that. They missed prom. They missed a senior crawfish boil that we had scheduled again. And they missed their sports, they missed their activities, they missed their friends, and there was so much unknown about what phase we would ever be in. So our graduation's in the Hyman Center, and I was in contact with them, and they basically took their April and May calendars and moved them until June and July. So our graduation date was scheduled for July 20th. Certainly, a long time from the time that we left school, and our normal graduation date was going to be May 20th. But, I did a survey with the seniors and their parents. You're in the business to know. I mean, not everybody answers surveys.
Sure.
But it was a 2-to-1 vote to do it on July 20th rather than do it at an earlier date, because the earlier date would have been in small groups,
Right.
and not in the hymen because it wasn't open at the time. Could have been small groups in the gym, kind of that drive-by that you kind of mentioned.
Sure.
A little less personal doing that, but it's all some people could do. So, I took it on the vote that they wanted to be together, to 174 seniors we had this year, and they wanted to be together to do that graduation. So, we've been working with the hymen. We read in the paper that and listened to our mayor, President Guillory, that he had closed the hymen down for 21 events. He has since opened those back up. We were one of those 21, and we're working with the hymen based on their protocols. So, we're going to do graduation.
Good.
It's going to be the entire class. We're not sure if it's going to be at the hymen. It may be at the convention center. And our last resort would be to have it on the football field, which is plenty of room, but it's a little warm in July to be wearing robes.
Oh, Mr. Boyer, that's quite the understatement.
Yeah. So we have posted our academic pep rally on all the award winners. We posted all the awards that the seniors got into their academic classes, best in English 4, best in
Right.
DE.
Right, and I know a number of students shared that on social media, and it was interesting to see how the students were able to engage in what is normally a private ceremony, but it became a very public ceremony because so many people could see the awards and share it online. So there were some benefits to that, I guess, in a way. When you have to do the awards online like that, it does make a difference in how kids can see and be a part of it.
Yes. Am I back?
You are. Yes.
Oh, we're good.
Yes.
So they did some funny awards for the seniors. Best looking, most humorous, and some of our staff members went to the houses of our students and videoed that and gave them some of their awards. So we've got a few awards left that are our normal graduation awards. We moved some of our memorial awards that would have been done in an awards convocation to graduation to involve the family that is dealing with the memorial could be present and make that award to our students. And we're going to have to do it a little different than we have. We'll be in one space. We may be in social distancing. It may be parents and student only, and we are going to be able to live broadcast it wherever we are for the extended family to be part of that experience. And so it's tough. Some of them, they're getting ready to go off to college in July, and that may be a little problem. We've had a student that have their families move to another state, and they're going to have to fly back. We have at least one going to the military ahead of time, and we'll do a special graduation here on campus for that individual. I'll dress up in the graduation attire, and we'll have a private little ceremony in the chapel for that student. So, I respect the decision that our families made, and like I said, I don't know all the reasons, but I took it as we wanted to graduate together as a class.
Right.
I think that's the most important thing, and that will happen on July the 20th.
I think that's awesome. I think about all that those seniors have missed, and it makes me sad for them. But I'm also reminded when I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with Krista Bo, she talked about how suffering prepares us and opens up a space for growth. And I thought those were beautiful words. And so, as challenged as this senior class has been, from flooding to COVID, man, are they prepared for a lot of growth in their next few years.
Well, if you really look at the history of this group, the old.
I'm sure Mr. Boyer is going to talk about this group and the challenges that they've been through, because most of these kids graduating were born just after 9/11. And so the world they were born into after 9/11 has been such a challenging place for the past 18 years.
I think I'm back.
You are. Was that what you were going to talk about? Was the oldest of this group of seniors was born just after 9/11?
Yes, the oldest ones would have been born during 9/11 or right after. In their lifetime, they went through Katrina. Some may have had to move from where they originally lived and live in our area now. We certainly have had a lot of students that were affected by Katrina. And then, like we said earlier, I mean, they had the flood when they were freshmen, and now this as seniors. So, some of the milestones in the 20th and 21st century, these students have lived through that. And so that's why, I think that's why it's important to.
I'm sure he was going to say that it's important to encourage them, support them, understand the challenges that they've been through, while still helping them prepare for the challenges ahead. You're back.
I'm back.
Yes. I'm doing my best to finish your sentences when you go. I don't know if I'm right or not in my guesses. I thought you might be saying that it's important to help them prepare for the challenges that are coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's important acknowledge them, their senior class that has sacrificed so much. Not that, and they didn't volunteer to do that, but they volunteered to do things right when we were going through that. At least that's what I saw from our students in the things that they did. And, there's some things that we will do special in that time to acknowledge. I think, we're not the last graduation. I think we're going to graduate a week after the public schools do a couple days at the Cajun Dome. And I know of at least one other school that's going to graduate August the 1st. And so when the time comes, I mean, we'll do some things special, not only through social media, but, visible in town and print media to highlight those that have excelled in what they have done. Right. What we always liked to do was to have an awards ceremony and make graduation only about the diploma. So we only give a couple, the biggest awards that we have that we'll give out at graduation, the diploma, because at that point in time, they're all on the same plane. Some did it a little better than others, but we're proud that we will graduate all 174 seniors this year.
Right. It's interesting as our attention turns from the seniors and we send them off into the world and we look to the next grades coming. They've also had some challenges with the last 2 ACTs being canceled. And so the challenge of them still having the ACT scores they need for the college applications they're getting ready to make. What are you hearing about getting some ACT testing back in place?
Well, we missed a round of ACT. They have rescheduled into this summer for that. We give the ACT to all of our juniors, and that alleviates something.
So the entire junior class at Teurlings preps for and takes the ACT. So that's done. So they know that they've got a test score that they can use in applying. So I know that the juniors take the ACT at Teurlings, Mr. Boyer, and then also as they look to improve their scores, are you hearing that there'll be new tests set up into the end of summer and early fall for those people who are applying to college now?
Yes, yes. I mean, you're right on that. So, when we give it to all the juniors, we guarantee we have a score for every student. And then, some are very satisfied with what they get, and some want to do better. We have some students that take it 5 or 6 or 7 times. But with that said, this senior class has gone over $12 million worth of scholarship offers. And that's including TOPS and scholarship offers. So it is it's getting very close to be record setting.
Right.
And we're proud of that. The junior class is may surpass that come next year. So that's exciting that we have a couple classes back to back that may be the strongest academically that we've ever had at Teurlings Catholic. So
it's impressive.
Colleges, yes, ma'am. Colleges are trying to decide what they're going to do in having to have some ACT scores, if that's going to be part of the application process as we move on. We will continue to give it to our juniors. We are a ACT site here at Teurlings, to where it's given, it's once a month or once every 8 weeks or so, that it's another ACT date, and they do it here at Teurlings.
You were talking about this rising senior class, and I have a student in that class, and I know a bunch of those smarty pants kids. I am regularly amazed at their academic achievements and academic successes, from the speech and debate kids to the theater kids and beyond. It's a pretty smart group you got there.
Like I said, when it's all said and done, they may be the most successful. It's hard to gauge, intelligence, but you kind of base it on that, their college totals are so high because they're being recognized for their academic achievement, and these colleges want them to come be part of their institution. They are very bright, and at the same time, they are very involved in clubs of leadership, in spiritual groups on campus. We have a brand new group of campus ministers that we're excited about. During the summer, we're gonna, we may have to do some virtual elections for our student council. We thought about having to do some virtual tryouts for music ministry. I think since we were entered into a different phase, we may be able to do some of that on site on campus. But what I'm most impressed with is we have students that decide that they're going to go through honors and DE and challenge themselves. They're in some leadership roles in clubs. They're playing at least one sport, and sometimes 2. And they're involved in the spiritual aspects of our campus. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's the product that any Catholic school is looking to put out. Someone who has achieved through the academics, through athletic and leadership opportunities, and centered themselves in and participated in the spiritual dimensions of the school. I think that's the most important part of what we can do as Catholic educators.
Of course. That, and win 7 straight volleyball state championships in a row.
Well, sometimes it helps to have some talent.
Well, I'm just looking at that row of balls above your head, and I'm thinking, we got to throw that in there a little bit.
Well, I'm in my office, but some of those are soccer balls too, so it's not all volleyballs. But
of course.
But yes, we won the boys cross country state championship this past year. First time in 35 years that the school's done that. And the only second championship in cross country in school history. And it was awesome because they got some letters from the original team 35 years ago,
Wow.
just saying, way to go, Rebels. You did what we did, but we didn't win it when we were seniors, so go for it. Volleyball won their 7th in a row, and then wrestling came back. We won it 2 years ago. We were runners up last year. They had to fight real hard, and I think that's 11 out of the last 13 years that the wrestling has been state champions. So a lot of hard work there. We don't know what would have happened in the spring with some of those sports because we didn't get an opportunity to finish. But championships, they're not easy to get, and you need to appreciate it. At the end of the day is, did you work hard? Did you learn some lessons? You won some, you lost some, and you're a better man or woman for doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dana Higginbotham posted, "I'm not at all surprised at the successful pivot by the Teurlings Catholic administration, faculty, staff, and students. Teurlings Catholic is always a first-class act. Very proud to be a past student, educator, and parent. Good to see you, Mike." So that was from Dana Higginbotham.
Well, I see Dana Higginbotham. She was one of our teachers of the year. So she described herself there. Very successful faculty member. Her family's been here. They actually moved from Texas, and her daughter came here and spent her last couple of years. And she was such a blessing for us to have on campus. So thank you very much, Dana.
Absolutely. And Jill Moe says, "Really enjoyed the Facebook post from Teurlings Catholic's campus ministry. A great demonstration of courageous leadership from your students."
Well, it was, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. All of our campus ministers did a presentation. For some of them, it was way out of their comfort zone. But being part of the campus ministry has brought some of them out of that comfort zone, and they became leaders on campus and were able to stand up and speak at mass and to do that on Facebook. So, I was just so impressed that 17, 18-year-olds. Could look inside themselves, into the topic that was given to them, and come out with some of the comments that they did, deeply rooted in their own personal faith, deeply rooted in the Catholic Church, and it was phenomenal. We've gotten emails from people to say, "Wow, that was great. I showed it to my boss, and now my boss looks forward to seeing the morning prayer and or seeing one of those testimonies by the campus ministry team." It was really good. Very proud of that.
They were amazing. Have y'all considered keeping that so that you can take the ministry that's usually only shared on campus and continuing to share it with the world?
Well, I think a lot of what we've had to go through is going to come back in a different way. We're hoping we don't start school the way we ended school, having to do it with distance learning. But if we have to, we're ready to go. But I can see all of this experience with distance learning. I can see how our teachers can help our students, to say, look, I'm going to be on Zoom or Google Meet from 6 to 7. Here's the link. If you need to ask questions for tomorrow's test, do that. To where it's a lot of our teachers tutor after school, but so many of our kids are participating in extracurricular activities. 68% of our students participate in athletics. They take their physicals, they send the forms in, and they're in a team. That's not counting the cheerleaders. That's not counting the dancers. That's not counting the speech and debate team. So, an awful lot of our students are participating, and they can't go after school to get tutored.
Right. And so because they have after school practices and sessions, they aren't able to go to their teachers' tutoring times, which are usually right after class is over. And so if we were able to continue the Zoom or the Meet, then those teachers could take those lessons and share them with the students who are involved in athletics and activities and still get that extra tutoring time. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I really do. And we're going to pass.
Good.
We've got a new group of students, and I'm going to get with our religious administrator soon and say, I tuned in every morning to listen to the prayer of our students, and I would like them to do that during the summer, as a pre-leadership role with those senior campus ministers. They can do that, the showing of the musical. We need to, if you don't brag about yourself, sometimes nobody's going to brag about you. We have some very talented kids, musically, in speech and debate. We're on the national level. We're in the top 2 and 3 team state competition. Very proud of what they do there. And we just need to kind of highlight those things a little bit. And I think that what we've learned in this that we're on today can lend itself through the year. Do I want to do this every day? No. I want to get back in the classroom. But I think this can enhance the learning situation, and was forced to learn some technology that they may not have had skills in before.
Right.
And I think we found, since May or so, the football team has been with their, position coaches with their guys, and they're drawing up plays for them to learn the plays. So when they actually, get out to the practice field, they at least have a chalkboard knowledge of what they're supposed to be doing. And, that's never happened before. That, we zoomed in with the athletes to teach them some things. Our dancers are learning to dance for the tryouts this week, the Rebel Review, and they received a digital dance that they have to replicate through that process. So, I grew up with an abacus in the first grade. That's how old I am, and I've had to, I'm way outside my comfort zone in some of this, but you just have to do what you have to do,
Right.
to keep up and to take care of our kids. And, we take it, not everybody's going to agree with what you do when you're dealing with over 700 families. But I trust you, our people do the very best they can, with the best intentions. And I just, I learned a long time ago, you can't please everybody.
Truth.
But we try.
And I think y'all do a good job of that. Bernard Dumond is watching, and Bernard says, Mr. Boyer is a wonderful Catholic educator. The future is so bright at Teurlings. I think for all of those things you've just mentioned and more. When you were talking about continuing some of these aspects of technology, Jill Cormier-Moe wrote, do you think the near future of education, not just at Teurlings Catholic, will be a blended approach, offering virtual learning for those who are not able to be there in person, perhaps because of health concerns? So are you seeing that as an opportunity?
That is,
So, Jill, I think that is an opportunity. I think that's something that the school has talked about and the diocese has talked about. And I think, as Mr. Boyer was mentioning, as you've already put these processes into place and people have become familiar with the technology, now it's about how do we take the technology and continue to use it while on the campus in the classroom. I answered it
I'm
for you,
back.
Mr. Boyer.
You
I
got
answered
me?
it for you. Yes, sir. Michael Russo asks
okay, yeah.
About some of the events you've had. So when we look at the events you have throughout the school year, whether it's a Taste of Teurlings or Casino Night, what are the plans for next year and being able to have those continue perhaps into the next school year with food events? And cafeteria
I'm
events.
not really. I didn't hear the end. I didn't.
I was
Say it
just saying,
again?
when we look at the events that the school has throughout the year, whether it's a taste of Teurlings or casino night, all of
Oh,
those
yeah.
events with food, as well as just the cafeteria on a daily basis, what are the conversations around next year and how that's going to be handled?
Well, I mean, once again we deal with protocols that are passed down to us. It is our intention to and hope, that our first football game we can bring as many people into the stadium as we can. That we're not limited and everybody's 6 feet apart. We hope we can have mass every Thursday, like we normally do in the gym with.
So I know that the diocese is working on, with the state health officials, how those events can still happen, whether it's by including social distancing protocols or in ways that won't be affected by social distancing. Mr. Boyer, were you just saying that y'all are working to figure out how to have these things with social distancing in place so they can still be safe?
That's exactly right. So, that's somebody's going to tell us, the percentage and if we're still in social distancing. I mean, we have a plan, I'm up to plan Z on stuff. It may be that we can only bring one class in a week for mass, but we're going to have mass every week, without a shadow of a doubt. Maybe we can't have pep rallies in the gym because it's too confining. And maybe we go to the football field and spread out.
Right. So using the field gives them a lot more space to work with. The football field is packed on Friday nights for games, obviously, but for mass or for other gatherings, you've got a lot of people there in the football field that would allow you to spread out. So that's a great asset that you could use.
And so we do the Taste of Teurlings, which was a great success. I was in the chopped cooking contest and I got cheated out of the championship.
Yes, sir. I believe you did. I think you deserve that win.
But the real thing is nobody knows what school's going to look like come September. Nobody.
Right.
The State Department of Education has not made any notice of when the public schools are going to start. We're a diocesan school of Lafayette. We can start when the diocese tells us we're going to start. I think there's probably be some syncing there, that we'll probably start near the same time.
Sure. I think the goal is to try to start on schedule in the middle of August. But I know that there has been discussion that if necessary, they would push that back to just after Labor Day. I know some campuses, oh, good. So you were just saying that you're trying to start on schedule in the middle of August, but there's been some talk about pushing that back, right?
Well, yeah, my gut kind of tells me public schools will start after Labor Day. But we'll see how the numbers push up. If today's any indication, we're going to have a little surge in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
I hope not. Pray not.
Right.
So if it's after Labor Day, then one of two things happens. You go through June next spring, or you cut down some holiday time. So I have a schedule for if we would start normally. I have a schedule if we start after Labor Day. And then when you start, it all depends on if they're telling you social distancing. See, it doesn't really matter how many students they tell me I can have on campus. What matters is how many can I have in a classroom.
Right.
And if they have to be 6 foot apart. And if that's the case, then, a class of 24, I could probably only have 12.
Right.
So if I can only have 12 in classroom, then that probably means the other 12 has to stay home. So you either take 2 days to teach one lesson to your students, or everybody's on a Zoom every day, whether you're in the classroom or not. And And then that poses, it goes back to, does everybody have enough technology at the house? And is our student the caregiver for their younger siblings? Would make that extremely difficult. So there's so much unknown. What I would like to see them decide when school is going to start.
Right. And
at least give you and this is the way, at least today, this is the way we think it's going to look, and so you can kind of somewhat prepare, there were some schools that were not prepared, they hadn't broached the subject, didn't think it would happen, I guess, don't know, but they weren't prepared, and they had very little closure with their kids,
right,
on a Friday, in 13th of March. And still have not had that closure. So we want to be prepared as best we can into whatever it looks like. If we have to run an A/B schedule, we're ready to do that. If we only can have half of them, we're starting to work on the class loads to see what half is. I mean, we're in Acadiana, we're Cajuns. I mean, half of our names are A, B, C, and D. And the rest of the alphabet's the other half, and then are you gonna split up siblings like you have? One stays home, one doesn't, because there's a carpool scenario here. Right. There's transportation. They're saying on some of the CDC things, they're saying that the cafeterias might not be able to disperse food. That's going to be devastating for all schools everywhere if that's the case. There's guidelines you have for sanitation. I know I'm going to have to purchase portable hand washing stations that are out of doors. We're ordering industrial jugs of disinfectant to be able to have on portable stations out of doors. We're getting the thermometers. I mean, anticipating that you're going to have to take the student's temperature first hour of the day. Take their temperature to make sure they can be at school. I just kind of want to know, than any other administrator. Just so we can prepare and give our teachers the opportunity to prepare to be able to do the best we can.
I think it's the not knowing.
Unfortunately, nobody's been through this before.
Right, and that's just it. So the not knowing makes everybody concerned and frustrated and anxious because they've got to anticipate what's going to happen next when nobody knows what's going to happen next. But I think for as prepared as y'all were in anticipation of March 13th, I have confidence, and I think everyone else does too, that you'll be just as prepared for whatever comes August. I know that we're just about out of time, but I wanted to ask you if you had some parting words for the seniors, because I ask everybody, and you're in the rare seat of being able to actually have a message to the class of 2020. But I ask everybody on this interview near the end, I say, what words of wisdom do you have to the graduating seniors this year?
Well, I don't know how wise I really am, but they've been a part of my life for 4 years here at Teurlings. Watched them come in as freshmen, off of a middle school campus where they might have been the big dog, and then they show up and they're freshmen, and they find their place. Green lanyards. Coach Baudet used to call them. That's the color that the freshmen wear. And, I've been very amazed at the growth that I've seen. It has been academic. And like I said, when it's all said and done, this may be the most successful class in the history of Teurlings, because not everything has been offered to graduating seniors yet. I saw a lot of them participate when they were freshmen. When we flooded, we took buses out. The coaches took buses, volleyball kids, baseball kids, football players, people went, our kids went to help those that needed things moved in their house, and we certainly had a lot of freshmen do that. I wish their year would have ended as the other 63 classes or 64 classes at Teurlings, and they had a chance to do everything and have those memories. But the memory I will have is I thought they did things right. They did it right. They did it right to the very end under the most difficult of conditions to do that. And that's why with the administration and the faculty, we want that one more time. We want that graduation to be special, wherever it's going to be, and we will do it right by them and for them, and be extremely successful because they've gone through so much.
I think you're right. I think anytime people go through this kind of hardship and struggle and challenge, they're better people for it. Mr. Boyer, we are better for having heard your thoughts today on everything that everyone has been through the COVID crisis and the pandemic pivot, and how you have prepared and equipped your school and its students and faculty and administrators for success during what has been a difficult time for everyone. Thank you for taking this time with us today. I know we had some Wi-Fi challenges, but I was really glad you were able to be here, and thank you for your wisdom.
Well, thank you all so much. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, except my connection, and that was much worse than I thought it was going to be.
Well, there's always a challenge with live, but we appreciate you being here because you gave us great answers and great insight and great knowledge. And so for that, we appreciate. And to everyone watching and listening, I know that there's some technical glitches, and we appreciate you sticking with us because I think these are words of wisdom that we can all learn from. So thank you for being here and for listening and for being a part of it. We'll see you next time.
What am I?